Good evening, it's 6:30. I'm going to call tonight's Planning Commission meeting on February 5th to order. Let's do roll call, starting from my left, please.
Mike Collins.
Philip Jerian.
Ryan Coleman.
Frank Blau.
Cynthia Crass.
Mike Luxembourg.
All right, we have everybody here tonight. Pretty simple, short agenda, maybe. Has everybody had a chance to look at that?
I move to accept the agenda.
All in favor of tonight's agenda? Aye. Any opposed? And we have an approved agenda. How about minutes from our last meeting in January 22nd? Has everyone had a chance to look through those? Any questions?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded to approve minutes from January 22nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And minutes from January 22nd are approved. We come to our first public comment period tonight, and this is, excuse me, non-agenda. If you have something you want to share with the Planning Commission, to bring to our attention that's not on our agenda, we are getting into our deliberations on the comprehensive plan for 2035. And if you have something else you want to talk to us about, now's your chance. I'm guessing not, though. Nobody. And now we have a microphone out there. Okay.
You'll be heard.
All right. Well, nobody has approached the podium for public comment, so we will move on from that to old business, our comprehensive plan. Emily.
Great. Emily Arteche, your project manager for the city's comprehensive plan. So today you will be doing your deliberations and making your recommendation to the city council. That'll actually happen at a subsequent meeting with your chair and vice chair going to a city council study session and presenting your recommendation. So today you will have that process to complete.
Okay. And we do have a list of revisions. This is capturing all of the commission's work over the last year and a half, in addition to the December 30th, 2014 draft. And the last discussion that Vice Chair and I had with staff is that these edits will actually be put into the draft. Council will get a revised sort of red line draft. So I'm just kind of updating the commission on that. There was a question, I can't remember if it was at the end of the last meeting or the 15th.
There were about 20 different places where they can put your picture into this. How many did you put in?
We'll decide that later.
Okay.
But to start our deliberations, we're going to kind of move into our more formal Robert's Rules of Orders.
Just one question, Mr. Chair. Did you say red line draft, or do you want just a complete revised draft? You want it redlined?
I don't really
Change
care.
notices being on the side or not.
Hmm?
It's the
Yeah.
changes are connotated on the side if you want the red line draft.
Well, I understand. Yeah, I get that part.
Sorry. So what we'll do is the commission's recommendations will all be folded into a version 2.0, which will be a clean draft for the city council. And council actually has specifically requested that to appear that way for their work. So we're all in line to achieve that, and that will be done around the 1st of March. So.
Great. Okay. So to begin our deliberations, and just to kind of remind the the commission of how we're going to run through this, we're going to start with a motion and a second to adopt the December 30th draft, and then a motion and a second to adopt the changes that we have in this blue and black document. And then we'll start discussions if there are additional changes to those amendments. Other changes that have come up since, we'll amend those in, and then eventually...
Or not.
Or not. Fair enough. And then eventually kind of have a final wrap-up motion to approve all of that, and we'll have an amended document at the end of the meeting. So,
I move to accept the November 30th document.
well, actually, I'm going to have Vice
Oh,
Chair.
that's right.
You had the wrong
Change the
date
procedure.
anyway.
Yeah, did the wrong date. too.
I move to recommend approval of the December 30th, 2014 issued 2015 draft comprehensive plan, including the list of approved planning commission changes made through to the commencement of the public hearing on January 22nd, 2015.
Second.
All right. The motion has been moved and seconded, and just to clarify, that does include the changes from this document. So let's start some deliberations. Or any,
Your next motion has to happen first, and then we do deliberations.
well, it included this.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we did an omni.
yep. All in.
All in.
Any comments? Questions? Any other changes? Okay, I'll call the question. We have a motion made and seconded to approve the December 30th, 2014 comprehensive plan with, what was the other part?
Made through, with the approved planning commission changes made through to the commencement of the public hearing on January 22nd, 2015.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations. You have a unanimous approval of a revised 2035 comprehensive plan.
I will be sure to note this day in history.
It is February 5th, 6:37.
Yeah.
What's next on our agenda? That was it.
Director's report, if you'd like one.
Sure, we're here.
See if I can beat your deliberation length of time.
I didn't even make a note.
So first and foremost, as we noted before the meeting began, you do have a second meeting this month where there will be a presentation on the Duthie Hill consultant evaluation that's been done regarding potential land use and zoning in the future for that, if it was to enter our urban growth area. So that will be a short presentation on the 19th from Deborah. I will, I'm actually going to be out of town, so I'm not going to make the second meeting of the month. So I did want to take the opportunity to thank our three departing commissioners here at the end of the month, Commissioner Collins, Commissioner Islam, and Commissioner Luxembourg, for your service to the city, your valued input, certainly through this process, but all the other work the commission has tackled. You're going to be missed, definitely, and the council is in the process. They conducted interviews on Tuesday evening this week with, I believe it was 9 or 10 candidates that they interviewed, and I think they're doing one more on the 17th, and then council will be doing their deliberations to select 3 new commissioners, which will join the rest of you in March.
I heard the Arts Commission did associate memberships or something like that. Is there any plans to do something like that for Planning Commission?
You know, there was some discussion about that with having alternates, I believe, with the Arts Commission. The city attorney actually advised the council that the Planning Commission, the way the charge for a Planning Commission is laid out in state statute, it's a little bit different, where they just have to have 7 members of the commission. So there's no alternates with the Planning Commission or any other scenario like that. Yeah.
I was hoping that was the case. I would make a recommendation to that point if they were contemplating anything different. The work of the Planning Commission has really slowed down a lot if you have too many voices going on. You can always go talk to somebody, but the actual deliberations and fact-finding is really difficult with more than 7 people.
Yeah, so that's, and Mike Kenyon has, I think, given some really good guidance on that to the city council. So, in regards to, I was just going to make note, I was actually just going through some council materials here for next week. The council's having a study session next week on public works development standards. And I believe they're going to give some direction to staff next week on that subject during their study session, but then that will be something that will be coming to the Planning Commission here in the spring for your review and recommendation to City Council on changes with development standards for public works related matters, roads, sidewalks, and the such. They are required to come to the Planning Commission because they are actual development standards that have to be adhered to with subdivisions and so forth. So you've got that to look forward to. And you've also got some additional work getting into the regulatory components of tree retention, the first phase of that anyway, that we'll come back to here in the spring as well.
Is there any way we can make a recommendation to call it the urban forestry program instead of tree retention?
We can actually talk, well, you won't be talking about it because you won't be on the Planning Commission anymore.
know.
But perhaps your colleagues on the Planning Commission, we can certainly have some dialogue about, you know, as the code, as we look at the changes to the code, we can certainly talk about what things are called and subsections and so forth. There's some opportunity there to discuss that. So.
Because I agree, tree retention's a component of it, but by itself, tree retention just doesn't do it.
I would actually concur with that, what you just said. So the one other thing I'll mention about trees in general was the City Council did have their annual retreat a couple weekends ago. And they talked about a whole variety of subjects, but as part of the retreat, there was a work program update from each of the 5 department heads to the City Council in terms of just looking at work programming for 2015. And we did have a short discussion about the good work the Commission did on stepping back and looking at the tree-related policies as part of your comp plan update. And obviously, there was no action taken by council or anything. It was just in a work session format at the retreat. But I would characterize that part of the discussion. It was very well received by council. And they do look forward to getting the Commission's recommendations on the comp plan and looking at that more closely here in the spring. So, but it was, again, I would just characterize it as a very well received, the description of your work on the tree-related policies. So,
And the current emergency, again, expires in April, is it?
yeah, the current emergency ordinance with the interim regulations expires on April 14th.
Okay.
There's been a pretty clear acknowledgement that we're not going to have code to supplant that by April 14th. So we have already scheduled on the City Council's calendar an extension of those interim regulations that were in the emergency ordinance, and they're scheduled to take that up on April 7th at their regular meeting. Yeah.
And was the extension another 6 months, or is it longer? Or?
Another 6 months. We don't have to have it in place for 6 months. We can always take action. The City Council can always take action earlier than 6 months to adopt something else. But we are going to recommend that they do it for another 6 months to ensure that there's just adequate time for everybody to move through the legislative review process. So that's all I have, actually. So
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
Is there anything we can move forward from the 19th?
Well, I don't think so, because I think as it was mentioned, it's primarily a presentation by Deborah on the potential future land uses for the Duthie Hill Notch.
Correct.
And since she's not here, we
Right. Any other things you got on the sub-agenda that you want to do today instead of then?
no.
Okay.
So short meeting.
So do we want to talk about Seahawks, or you got better things to do?
I'll take a pass on that.
Yeah, I think that one's been hashed out enough. Yeah. So that's it for tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
We could take phone and calls. What do you think? We got to be pulling a .001.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, we have motion and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we are adjourned at 6:45.